It's time to get real about passive perception, passive insight, and passive investigation. As they're written in the rules, they are horribly broken and, to be honest, a little stupid. But they can be fixed, and I'm going to tell you how. Well, my way how. I'm JW the DM. I started DMing in 83 or 84, and here I share tips and advice that I've learned and discovered over time. Welcome to my channel. Hit like and subscribe and comment and share. It helps the channel and it makes things fair. All right, first things first. What's wrong with the raw, that's rules of written to you less experienced DMs, versions of passive skills? Aside from they suck, because as written in the books, if the score for, say, passive perception is high enough, you'll have players automatically seeing every damn trap and secret door, and all tension and fulfillment at discovering these things or springing the traps will be thrown out the window. If seeing that item in the bushes is a DC 18 for even what I like to call active checks, then why does someone with a passive perception score of 18 see it automatically, without even looking for it? It's a damn DC 18 for people with lower passive perception scores who are actively looking for something in the bushes. That makes no sense. Why even bother with active checks when there's somebody in the party with a passive perception or insight or investigation score above 16 at lower levels and 20-something at higher up levels? And that's no fun. It's no fun for the GM because we can't challenge our players in ways that don't punish the players, and despite the fact players always want to be able to overcome all challenges with no problem, they actually get bored from that too, because they couldn't test their mettle against something or see how they rolled the dice. I keep using passive perception for my examples because that's the biggest offender, but passive insight and passive investigation are just as broken. That NPC is talking to you, but lying. And because your passive insight is higher than the deception check they just rolled, you automatically know they're lying. Or maybe you're trying to understand what's being talked about in a complex ancient text. You totally know without even trying to figure it out. You get the picture. So how do you fix this? Well, part of the problem is that the concept of passive scores for these three skills actually make a lot of sense. How often do you notice something out of the corner of your eye, or a faint, strange noise in the distance, or note that there's something a little weird in that guy's body language? The key to fixing the use of passive scores, though, is to realize that often when we think we saw something out of the corner of our eyes, when we actually look to see what it was, we don't see anything. When we hear the strange noise, maybe we can't really hear it when we actively listen for it, or can't say what's making the noise or even where it's coming from. Maybe once we start paying attention to that guy's body language, we can't quite place what's wrong with it and what that should convey. I mean, what if that was just dust in your eye, or your ears were ringing, or he's just awkward? Some of you have probably already guessed at what I do. The passive scores, to me, indicate noticing something or getting a vibe or knowing that certain parts work together, but you just don't know how. Passive is kind of like Spider-Man's spider sense. You think something's up, but you just don't know what until you actively try to find something, understand something, or piece it together in your mind. And that's it. That's the fix. When someone's passive score is higher than the DC or contesting roll, then that PC notices something or gets a non-definite feeling or thinks something works together. It's the spidey sense telling them that something is probably up. Then the player has to say, I think there's something in those bushes, so I'm going to go give them a good look. And the GM replies with, make a perception check. Easy peasy. And remember, failing those active checks is explained with a simple, must have been my imagination type of response. As a bonus for watching this long, I want to tell you that almost all the skills can have passive numbers. Like, what's passive athleticism? Well, one version might be swinging your sword without having to actively think about how much it weighs. You don't make an athletics check every time you pick up your sword. But maybe the rock you picked up is just heavy enough to notice, and passively, you could throw it 40 feet, maybe a DC 12, without thinking about it. But that was passive. But you want to throw it 60 feet. So well then, let's make an active athletics check to determine if you can throw it that far. And of course, you'd still use dexterity to see if you can hit something at that range, right? So, with little creativity, you can use a passive version of almost anything, but for the most part, it's not worth the effort. Like passive performance being used for speaking would just be how you come off normally while speaking, which for the most part would be just the same as plain old charisma. No need to use passive with that. It's just an interesting tidbit is all. Anyway, that's it. Let's put the fun of a random die roll back into perceiving things, getting a vibe about things, and seeing how things fit together. And, as always, may all your games be full of glory. Till next time.